What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we're going to be talking about sexual energy, semen retention, celibacy, and why this is important on your spiritual journey. So, let's get into it. Now, those of you who keep up with the channel regularly know that, 2020 has been crazy, but, personally, as an astrologer, as a spiritual healer, it's one of the bright spots has been my ability to connect with a lot more other males, whether it be giving readings to them and, offering counsel. And one thing that from my work with other males is that I realized, like, to be a male on a spiritual journey is more than likely you're going to have to come face to face with the reality of what sexual energy is, the sacredness behind it, how sacred it is. And then ultimately, like, with that it's a responsibility. So, they say ignorance is bliss, and basically meaning, like, to not be in the know of something is to be able to indulge in it and, like, kind of do whatever. But when you're a male on the spiritual journey and it's your time to go within and really understand that sacredness, it's a major mind fuck, because you realize that everything that you've been taught in terms of society and how to be a male, how to use your sexual energy, it changes. So just getting into it, I want to also extend this to women as well. So we're both, two sides of the same coin. Feminine energy is receptive. It is still. It receives. Yang energy, which the male principle, is expressive. It goes outward. And when we look at this in the sense of sex, just the direct function of how the act goes between the phallus and the womb is self-explanatory. They fit each other like a glove or whatever. So there is, within that receiving and the expression of the energy, when it comes to managing that energy, there's a difference between men and women. And then, so it's like, to have more feminine energy is to be able to be present with the feeling or the sensuality that arrives from sexual energy or feelings of that. So that is why women are a bit more sensual in nature. Like they are engulfed with the feeling of their sexuality, and how that, applies to the senses and is looking for something to stimulate that energy. Okay. And then this is where the yang comes in, or the male expression, which is that stimulator. And the male energy is looking for the form in which the woman or feminine energy provides. Okay. So to some extent, when these two forms or energies come together, there's the ability to balance one another, okay, together. So this is where it kind of gets tricky, and why it's the difference between how males use their sexual energy and the effects of that versus women. So then when it comes down to this thing of semen retention, celibacy and all of that, it's very much so in this modern time connected with towards masturbation. So when a person is going through this, their biggest thing is like, okay, I need to not masturbate, right? Because we all have periods of time where, intimately, we may just not have that access towards someone else. And then, masturbation is the alternative towards that. But going with male principle and female principle, when that yin energy or this female stimulates and orgasms, because of the natural disposition of that energy and its naturally internal nature, it's almost like a woman's orgasm revitalizes her because the energy is naturally set to circulate inward. All right? Follow me. Now, with men, the outward expression, and then when it comes to orgasm, naturally, we ejaculate. So, when a man goes upon the journey of semen retention, he is stimulating his feminine energy. He is choosing to preserve that which wants to expand out. So he then has, whereas linking with the female is naturally harmonious or revitalizing, him abstaining and holding it allows him to endure that process for himself. So I hope all of this makes sense. So this is like a key thing of why when we talk about like NoFap or semen retention or withholding of sexual energy, it's a little bit more emphasis towards the males because of the way females are naturally dispositioned, and then even their relationship with the orgasm, like I said, is a little bit more revitalizing for them than it is with us. So now this is going to apply to everybody. Reasons why you should go upon a journey of celibacy, or for men, semen retention, is one, spirituality deals with the relationship of you and the universe, being or conscious of your own connection towards all that around you, the solidarity, the journey of solidarity, right? And the more spiritual you become, the more sensitive you become towards that environment and things around you. So when it comes to sexuality, there's no greater merging of one energy field and another. Okay, there's nothing greater than that. And ultimately, the reality is that when you engage in, sexual partnerships, you energetically take on a lot of your partner's baggage, positive and negatives. I've had, experiences with partners where they themselves are intuitive, right? Whether they realize it or not. And me, having a relationship with them enhance my own intuition. So that's a reality of sex. So going back to why it's important on a spiritual journey is because point blank period, you need to be alone within your own energy. You need to know what is yours and what is not. Okay. And then from that, when you're aware of how you feel within your own energy, when you do encounter another in that intimate way, or maybe even not, you're more conscious of what are your feelings and what are not, and what this allows you to tap into a higher frequency revolving in sexuality and what you're getting from that person. Am I more confident? Am I more insecure? Am I more insatiable? These are all things connected. So just taking that time for yourself allows you to understand and be within your own energy, okay, which is essential to increase intuition and clarity, okay? The next reason why it's important to undergo, celibacy is because sexual energy is creative energy. And going back to the idea of when you're able to revitalize yourself, particularly like for the male. So as he's undergoing the 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, each day he's getting stronger because his energy is being raised. Now, energy never dies. Energy needs to be stimulated. This and a lot of the times we are horny is because this is sexual energy that needs to be used. So once the energy builds, it's like, all right, I'm ready to be expressed. The key thing here is learning how to apply that. What sexual energy at its core is desire. It's desire. And when you can grab that desire and focus it on a particular thing, you are making love to that endeavor. When you become obsessed with something, sex can go rounds. You could want more. Like, all right, let's have some morning sex, right? Just imagine applying that energy and that focus and that desire towards a personal project. This semen retention, celibacy, this is how miracles are achieved. Men like, well, he was a dog, but I was going to say men like Martin Luther King, but I really should have said like Mahatma Gandhi, because I heard Martin was a dog, all right? But that desire you have to create, that desire you have to express, that male principle, it never goes away. But if you take your focus away from the physical act and put it in different arenas, that energy is allowed to flourish. Now, the next part of this, people, women included in this one, that focus, right? You learn things about yourself and your love style and that desire. What you learn greater, what your motivations are. And for example, if you are a quick hitter, what they call a minute man, you know what I'm saying? Man, you just need a quickie. Like, you're not like for example, Taurus is stamina. That's long, grueling, like I can keep going. Behind Taurus is Aries. Aries is just like, listen, pop. All right, that was fun. Let's do it again later, right? If you're more on that Aries side, when you are trying to stimulate and transmute that energy, you're going to have that initial burst that you have towards what it is that you want, just like a lover or whatever, the sexual act, you're going to have it towards your thing, but eventually you're going to flame out. But what happens here is that this journey allows for greater self-awareness. So you'll become conscious of the fact that, like, yo, I'm not really I'm motivated by this thing for like 20 minutes a day. And then I keep going on to try to do something else. And then, so the more patient lover, the more sensual person is willing to chip away and wait and have determination for the thing to materialize. So if you're more of a curious or imaginative lover, you're going to add that towards whatever you're applying. So ultimately, you're going to see a real distinct thing about your focus and your desire and how you desire things and how you go about, obtaining that. So basically, at the root of celibacy, right? Abstaining from, sex and all of that, is the power of manifestation. And to all the occultists out there, I always tell people, if you're really about to, like, say you're going to do some spiritual work, right? You're going to do some rituals, get some herbs, do the damn thing. A real occultist, if not already having that shit stored, they are going to embark upon a journey of abstaining from that, to focus on the thing. I don't want anything else. I'm devoting my attention towards this. So to some extent, like in terms of like magic, your sexual energy is your seat of power. And the more power you can accumulate behind that, the more you're going to be able to manifest that thing in which you want. Now, quick tidbit, I don't talk a lot about like, magic and stuff on here, but I always tell people when I do talk to them about it, like, if you're doing like a money ritual, right? It'd be best to work in the terms of cash flow rather than I need this amount of money right now. Because the universe, if you ask the universe for $500 because you want to go buy this particular thing, the universe will give you $500. The smarter thing to do would be like, yo, I'd like a cash flow of $500 every such and such. It works. And so those type of rituals, when you're using the sexual energy, you're so focused on ensuring that flow comes in, that once it's established and then you manifest with the energy that you've accumulated, you're able to add more intent towards it. All right. So those are a couple things, and there are so many benefits for men. Once again, for men, this can really affect your results in the gym, how you work out. So along with going back to that idea of the male principle, yang energy, and the storing of that, it's also going to allow you, it's going to increase your yang energy, in the sense of making you stronger, more aggressive. This is why I saw stuff online with like Mike Tyson, when they're like, Mike Tyson didn't have sex for years. Listen, he clearly said that he was masturbating. So like, you're to some extent, you're not getting the full of effects of it. He was definitely in his own energy. I would tell you that, if he wasn't actually having physical sex. But if you're still masturbating, you're not going to necessarily get that full benefit if you take the time. Okay? So an increased aggressiveness, right? An increased ability to manifest things are going to come into the fold. Now, this is going to be for men and women. So check this out. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to really explain some very fundamental problems men and women both have, and how celibacy and because remember, we're not just doing it to do it. If you're doing it, if you're being celibate and you're not being conscious of your feelings and the things that are going on around you, you're not benefiting from it. You want to be aware of this. So another thing that can benefit you, men and women. For men, once you store that energy, let's say you get 30 days in noticing just the changes, right? At the end of your second week, at the end of your first week, you will feel very lively. You will feel very like, okay, I want to do this, that, and the third. You want to tackle the world. Then at the end of that second week, you're going to get that wave of horniness, wanting to indulge, right? But then eventually, if you can get past that, and I'm going to make another video about this, like strategies on how to get the best out of it, right? But once you get through this period where your mind is going to be on it, there's going to come a time where it's like everything in your environment is sending you sexual cues, and this is because of how your brain works. So if you're used to having an orgasm every 3 days, after 6 days, your brain is going to be like, hey man, like, focus on the thing that we do, right? Okay. So once you get through that, you enter this zone of, I'm going to just call it strength, right? Because to be aroused after 2 weeks versus being aroused after a month, you have more energy after a month, but you're more in an excited state after 2 weeks. So ultimately, the longer you abstain from sex and the more you're like focused, there are other things to do with this, like testicle breathing and all of that. All right. And for all of that, I suggest to men look up the Taoist way, lots of readings on the Taoist journey. Okay. Lots of exercise that go with that to help you with what I'm saying. So when you've done that, you're more in an excited state. So the longer you actually go and you put in this work, when you do have sex, you will be able to last so much longer without needing to orgasm. Now, going back to what I'm saying about Taoist techniques, there are a lot of breathing techniques and exercises that you do to strengthen your muscles around your pelvic area, and ultimately it creates something, a seal within yourself where the male can orgasm without ejaculating. So just like I said, a woman, her orgasms are much body or very shoot through the body or internalize. The males, ejaculates, which is draining. So what happens, the male, you can develop this ability to last longer, to be in full command of when you want to ejaculate and still enjoy sex. And ultimately, the man who goes to this point, he becomes the how can I say it? What a woman actually needs. Because at the end of the day, like I said, women are predisposed, like sex is their realm, man. Like, yeah, the male has to bring it and prepare. So, right, the male, you'll really be able to last longer. And keep into account, and repeat one more time. 2 weeks, it ain't really like, until you get to this point where you undergo the journey and you put in this work to do these things. If you're not putting in that extra work, you'll accumulate this energy, but you'll be ready to blow it because you'll be really excited. But there's within the transmutation, it allows for the energy to, facilitate and circulate better. And, a lot of males have a lot of rebuilding to do within this area. So look at some stuff on the Tao. I'll drop some links in this video too. So then moving on to the ladies, right? So men, you'll be able to last longer. Women, what I've found is that a lot of women have issues having an orgasm with the partner. Leave a woman to her own accord, she'll have all the orgasms that she wants. Clitoral, penetrative, all of that shit, and have it really good. But then a disappointment occurs with the other. Now, mind you, this is not always the case, and I think you'll realize this is a bigger talk that we need to have. But like women, if you're not aware, it's not the male's job to make you orgasm. He assists you, he stimulates, but you have to get yourself there. So what happens, and what I've seen, women have, an easier time just being celibate and not being with anyone. they have an easier time doing that. Now what happens here, ladies, is that if you want to get this full benefit of knowing how having more intense orgasms with a partner, you're going to have to leave yourself alone. You're going to have to put your toys away. Yeah, you literally going to have to go cold turkey and get all the way inside your body. Okay? You're going to have to get all the way inside your body. Get to this point of sensualness where it's like if someone, does this to you, your whole body is in goosebumps or whatever. So you want to get yourself to this heightened sensitivity. And then there's also going to be things that you need to do breathing wise. Focus on your breathing and how to get there. And then this just leads also into, you need to be vocal with your partners too. If you need the stroke to be slow for you to get there, tell him slow down. You got to communicate. But I guarantee you, if you really abstain in the sense of no masturbation, no physical intercourse, ladies, you'll be having some hard orgasms when you finally do get that male energy. All right. So, yeah, this is just my thoughts on sexual energy, semen retention, celibacy, all of that. I'm going to be making more videos on this, keeping the fellas in mind out there. Some real shit we're going through. But feel free, chime in. Let me know what you think. I know many of you have been on similar journeys. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to do so now. Until next time, peace.